nuclear option-like questions again. This is an interview that the Majority Leader had with former Majority Leader Tom Daschle. Quote, "What the Republicans came up with was a way to change our country forever. They made a decision if they didn't get every judge they wanted, then they were going to make the Senate just like the House of Representatives. We would, in fact, have a unicameral legislature where a simple majority would determine whatever happens. In the House of Representatives today, Pelosi's the leader. Prior to that, it was Hastert. Whatever they wanted, Hastert or Pelosi, they got done. The rules over there allow that. The Senate was set up to be different. That was the genius, the vision of our founding fathers, that this bicameral legislature, which was unique, had two different duties. One was, as Franklin said, to pour the coffee into the saucer and let it cool off. That's why you have the ability to filibuster and to terminate filibuster. They wanted to get rid of all that. And that's what the nuclear option was all about. Daschle, is there any likelihood that we're going to face circumstances like that again? Reid, as long as I am the leader, the answer is no. I repeat, he said, as long as I am the leader, the answer is no. I think we should just forget that. That's a black chapter in the history of the Senate. I hope we never, ever get to do that again, because I really do believe it will ruin our country. I said during that debate that in all my years in government, that was the most important thing I ever worked on. Boy, this gives new meaning as to where you stand on an issue as opposed to where you sit. So, this hypocrisy is not confined to members of the Senate. Senator Barack Obama, former member of this body, on April 1st, 2005, I know for the benefit especially our newer members on the Democrat side who were not here at the time and don't know what we went through to try and stop it when it was being proposed by this side of the aisle, then Senator Barack Obama said, who congratulated the Senate today on our action. He said, quote, "The American people sent us here to be their voice. They understand that those voices can at times become loud and argumentative, but they also hope we can disagree without being disagreeable." And then Senator Barack Obama on April 1st, 2005 went on to say, "What they don't expect is for one party, be it Republican or Democrat, to change the rules in the middle of the game so that they can make all the decisions while the other party is told to sit down and keep quiet." I asked my colleagues, what were we just told to do today? And he went on to say, "The American people want less partisanship in this town, but everyone in this chamber knows that the majority chooses to end the filibuster. Quote, if they choose to change the rules and put an end to the Democratic debate, then the fighting and the bitterness and the gridlock will only get worse." He went on to say, "Now I understand the Republicans are getting a lot of pressure to do this from factions outside the chamber, but we need to rise above the ends justifies the means mentality, because we're here to answer to the people, all of the people, not just the ones that are wearing our particular party label." And he went on to say, "If the right of free and open debate is taken away from the minority party and the millions of Americans who asked us to be their voice, I fear that already partisan atmosphere in Washington will be poisoned to the point where no one will be able to agree on anything. That doesn't serve anyone's best interest, and it certainly isn't what the patriots who founded this democracy had in mind. We owe the people who sent us here more than that. We owe them much more." There's several other. In May 2005, Senator Reid also said, quote, "If there was ever an example of an abuse of power, this is it. The filibuster is the last check we have against the abuse of power in Washington. We just eliminated the filibuster, my dear friends, on nominees." And he went on to say, the threat to change Senate in April 2005, "The threat to change Senate rules is a raw abuse of power and will destroy the very checks and balances our founding fathers put in place to prevent absolute power by any one branch of government." So, yes, I'm upset. Yes, several occasions we have gotten together on a bipartisan basis and prevented what exactly happened today. And what exactly happened today is not just a shift in power to appoint judges. That in itself is something that's very important. But what we really did today, and what is so damning, and what will last for a long time unless we change it, that could permanently change the unique aspects of this institution, the United States Senate, is if a majority can change the rules, then only a majority can change the rules, then there are no rules. That is the only conclusion that anyone can draw from what we did today. Suppose that in a few weeks that the majority doesn't like it, that we object to the motion to proceed. 51 votes. Suppose that cloture, they don't like having those votes for cloture. 51 votes. My friends, we are approaching a slippery slope that will destroy the very unique aspect of this institution called the United States Senate. And I believe that the facts will show, as the Republican leader pointed out today, that this was a bit of a straw man. Yes, there have been a handful, a small number of nominees that were rejected by this side of the aisle. But there have been literally hundreds and hundreds of nominees who have not even been in debate on the floor of this Senate. So all I can say is that when people make a commitment, such as I just read from the President of the United States when he was in the Senate, and from our majority leader, we should not be surprised when there's a great deal of cynicism about when we give our word concerning things and our commitment to things. And I go back to the man that I probably respected more than anyone in the years I've been in the United States Senate, one Robert Byrd. And one thing I can promise you, that if Robert Byrd had been sitting over in the majority leader's chair today, you would not have seen the events that transcribed. This is a sad day. I'm angry, yes. We'll get over the anger. But the sorrow at what has been done to this institution will be with us for a long, long time. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
President.